I remember being like 10 years old and some kid pointed at my gut because we were like doing swimming practice or whatever. And he was like, bro, you're pregnant. And I was like, well, I'm not. But I didn't know what that was. Like my belly was just always bloated. A lot of how I felt growing up and my struggle to focus was from that. In this video, I'm going to give you my entire system on how I reset my gut health. It's the same system I use on my clients who run businesses. They're very busy people, and it is science-backed. It uses real testing, and if you actually follow this, you will get results. Now, a lot of you guys probably already understand the importance of gut health, or maybe you've heard that it's important. And yeah, for those of you who don't understand the importance of it, it's seen to be like our second brain. It's responsible for a lot of our neurotransmitters, our mood. 90% of our serotonin is actually built in our gut, which is responsible for our mood, happiness, your ability to fall asleep on time, etc. The main role of the gut is to break down food, absorb the nutrients, and help you metabolize energy. So if your gut health is off, you're going to get brain fog, low energy, and get bloated. So if you have these symptoms, a lot of the time you think it's something going on in like your business, your relationship. Sometimes it's just in your gut, okay? And it's very common for people to have shitty gut health, IBS, like many issues. So this might be you right now. You might get bloated after eating. You might have brain fog throughout the day. You might have low energy, unpredictable digestion. What you do in the toilet is different maybe every single day, or it doesn't really look healthy. You get random reactions from food. Maybe you get acne. Maybe you get, again, just bloating and that kind of thing. And where you want to be is when you eat, you get a flat stomach. You don't bloat. You have strong digestion, which means your body's able to break down food properly. It's able to absorb the nutrients and metabolize your energy. Okay, and then this way you can actually eat food without being worried it's going to make you feel terrible and wreck your gut health. Now the issue is most people who try and optimize their gut health, they might say that they fixed it or they're fixing it, but all they do is they try eating clean, they cut out random foods that they think is affecting them, they take a random probiotic, they take random supplements like L-glutamine and digestive enzymes, and those things can help, but you're essentially just guessing. You're not actually figuring out what's going on in your individual case, right? So this is what a lot of people think. I just need to take probiotics. I need to eat more fiber. I must have food intolerances, which can be true. I need to cut out gluten and dairy. Now, there's a lot of nuance to this, and I'm going to explain it. Overall, though, your gut health is usually a system problem. It's not coming from one food or a supplement, or one little thing that you can do. It's kind of everything together that gives you the result at the end of the day of the state of your gut health. Okay, so your gut has 4 main jobs. Okay, it needs to break down food. So once you put it in your mouth, you chew it, you swallow it. It needs to absorb nutrients. It needs to control inflammation, right? And it needs to support your brain and energy, and also your physique goals. Like a lot of the time, you will struggle to gain muscle and burn fat if your gut health isn't optimized. For example, if you eat when you're very stressed, right, or you have leaky gut syndrome, you're not actually absorbing the nutrients that helps you live and thrive in this life. So you could be eating the best foods in the world. If your gut health isn't optimized in the right way, or you're eating when you're stressed, you will have a lot of issues. You could still get bloated. You could still be very unhealthy. Okay. So yeah, when it's not optimized, you don't digest it properly. You get fermentation in your gut, which leads to gas and bloating and inflammation. And through that inflammation, usually you get brain fog. Okay. Now, why does this matter? Poor gut health leads to bloating, gas, constipation, loose stool, low energy, all this stuff I've already mentioned. Okay, so again, you can eat perfect and still feel terrible if you can't digest and absorb the food, all right, which are the 2 main roles of the gut. Now, this is the system to fix it. Okay, we're going to start with step 1, which is to test and identify the root problem. Now, there's 2 ways you can go about this. You can do the science-backed route. You can go straight into testing, okay? I would recommend doing real testing if you already do all the right things, like you feel like you already eat clean, you train hard, you sleep well, you hydrate, you cut out processed foods, and you're really disciplined in that regard, and you still get some symptoms. I would do some kind of testing, which I'll show you what options there are. But for most people, what I'd recommend is, well, it's actually in step 2, which is just remove the gut stressors, and then while you're doing that, you want to start, logging in. You want to have like a bit of a diary and track your foods. So imagine you have like your phone notebook, or you have a piece of paper. You have the dates for every day, and then you have the times that you eat. So you write down the times you eat, exactly what you ate, okay? And then you note how you feel at that point, and then any point during the day, if you get brain fog, low energy, write it down and write down the time. And then that way you can connect the inputs with the outputs. What's causing you to get bloated? What's causing you to get brain fog? And then you'll start to understand what foods are actually causing issues, right? So for example, you had a yogurt smoothie bowl in the morning, and then as you were eating it, you felt fine. 1 hour later, you got a big energy crash. Okay, cool. Could it be this? Could it be that? And then you're able to like split test and understand over time what foods actually work for you, right? But the thing is, you might actually be fine with some foods. It's just that you need to heal and rebuild your, digestive system to be able to handle those kind of foods. You might not be able to handle gluten because your gut health isn't strong enough. And then after you go through a rebuilding phase, you can actually tolerate it a lot better. So you want to do this in the beginning to get an idea as to what foods you're probably not handling well. A lot of you guys might already have an idea. You might say, okay, milk or protein or whatever. And you want to note that. One other thing is you want to actually know what's actually in your food. So especially if it's packaged, there's going to be, seed oils, there's going to be artificial flavors, sweeteners, etc. So those could be things as well. Those are inputs as well that can be affecting your gut health. Now, the other thing to track is your bowel movement. So I know this is quite nasty, right? But this signals your health. Like this is a big sign of good health. If you're any of type 3 and type 4, that's normal. If you're type 1, type 2, type 5 to 7, that's what it means. Okay, type 7, inflammation, diarrhea. Type 6, inflammation, lacking fiber. Over here, very constipated. Everyone knows that, right? So those are some signs. And you want to be tracking that, the time you went and what it was like. And then you're going to have a journal and you're going to be able to see what you're eating on each day, what that's leading to with how you experience symptoms and your bowel movements, essentially. Now, for optional testing, okay, this can be a little bit confusing. Just bear with me. It's not really that difficult. It just depends what you're kind of feeling and experiencing. Some of these are more invasive. Some of these you have to like poop in like a bucket and like swab your poop and give it to them. I did one of those. It wasn't very fun. Some of them it's a breath test. Some of them it's you just have to poop in a cup and give it to a doctor. And yeah, it just really depends. So there's a medical baseline, targeted breath test, functional analysis, advanced insight. So I did something similar to this, and you'll uncover many, many, many things. Now, what I'd recommend is just do a gut health test from Viome, Viome. Do the gut intelligence test. That's what I do with all of my clients. It's about 260 USD. You will uncover a lot of stuff, and you will also figure out what foods you can't tolerate, foods you can tolerate, etc. But yeah, this is the kind of protocol. For example, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth breath test, quite easy to do. It's good to do that if you get a lot of bloating or gas or irritable bowel syndrome like symptoms after you eat something, right? This one you like poop in a cup, and it's to rule out infections, parasites, severe inflammation. You can also figure your inflammation out from a blood test. But yeah, it really depends. I would honestly recommend speaking to a doctor who has some sort of specialization in it, and then they can point you in the right direction. But again, most doctors are pretty shit when it comes to this, and they'll just kind of give you medication or like an antidepressant medication. So I don't know, maybe ask me, message me on IG if you have certain symptoms, and I'll recommend a certain test. Okay, so you can have a screenshot of this, and let's move on. And just to come back here, what I already mentioned before, testing is especially useful if you already do the right things. You eat well, sleep well, manage stress, but you still feel bad. Okay, so the second step is remove gut stressors. Now, this is when we just remove the things that are irritating your gut. Your gut isn't designed to just constantly eat when you're in a stress state, to eat these random processed man-made ingredients. Okay, that's causing so much damage. So your gut cannot heal when you're constantly adding stress. Okay, so cut out all the things you already know are not good for you. Artificial sweeteners, alcohol, processed foods. Don't eat while you're stressed. Reduce constant snacking, because your body goes through like a process of getting ready to eat and whatever. If you're constantly eating throughout the day, that is not good for your gut. Also, having huge meals at night is not good for the acidity regulation. Also affects your sleep and all that kind of stuff. Like you're going to be messing with all the enzymes, and it's just not really optimal. But I would say, like, out of all of them, just cut out the shit, and especially don't eat while you're stressed. These two aren't the biggest deal in my opinion, but they definitely help. So one simple rule: for 2 to 4 weeks, just keep your food very simple and repeatable. Okay, now optimal gut health is having as wide variety as you can tolerate. It doesn't mean only eating steak, eggs, fruit. Okay, there's nutrients in it, it's good for you, but to have a good gut health, like, what you actually want is variety. You want to eat as much variety as possible that you tolerate. Okay, that's a sign of someone who's very, very healthy with their gut health. But in the beginning, just keep it very simple and repeatable. Okay, eat the same kind of foods, just to cut out all the other bullshit. Okay, so 3 to 4 meals a day, whatever. I'm not going to go into calories and macros. Protein each meal, important. Cook your carbs and your vegetables. It's just easier for most people compared to raw. Make sure you have your healthy fats. Okay, your gut needs it, your joints need it, your hormones need it. And again, just avoid random snacking. Now, this is what your gut Viome test will look like from the company Viome. It will give you a list of foods to avoid, minimize, enjoy, and superfoods, and give you an explanation why. Okay, so that's something that my clients get a report for, and I'll build them a meal plan based upon that. So that's something you can basically do for yourself. Now step 3 is to repair digestion. Okay, so just to recap, we're doing the testing, we're figuring out what is causing issues. You know, if we're doing it manually, what might be causing the issues? If we're doing the testing, we know. Okay, now we're removing all the shit, and now we're introducing things to repair digestion. Now, quick side note, it can take you months or years to repair your gut health, truly, depending how bad you are and the starting point you're in. If you've been destroying your gut health for years, then it's just like when you get really out of shape. Like, it takes a long time to really balance out your microbiome, okay? Now, what this means to repair digestion is just make it easier for your body to break down the foods that you're eating, okay? If your food is not broken down properly, it will ferment in your body, which means it just kind of sits there and causes symptoms. So things you need to focus on, and I need to improve on this sometimes, is chew each bite properly. Like, don't just like munch and chew, okay? You're just sabotaging yourself, and you're making your poor gut have to deal with, you know, having to work extra hard and be more stressed. So eat a bit slower. Like, I know how tempting it is to like watch YouTube and that kind of thing, and I still do it. If you are gonna do it, just make sure you're relaxed. Like, get your breath back, take a few deep breaths, then eat your meal calmly. Sometimes if I notice I'm stressed when I'm eating and I'm watching YouTube, I turn off YouTube, or I pause it, and I just relax for like 10 seconds, and then I'm like, okay, eat. Because I know that if I'm eating the food, it's not really going to absorb properly. And so I might as well like eat food properly, because if I eat when I'm stressed, it's literally not going to work half as good, right? So eat slower, sit down when eating, breathe, relax, get out of a stress state, okay? And avoid drinking huge amounts of water with your meals. Like, not right before, not during, not after, because you're washing away all the enzymes that help you digest the food. Okay, I know a lot of bodybuilders say like, yeah, bro, drink a liter of water before every meal. It's like, it's fucking stupid. Now, optional support. So depending on your situation and your symptoms, so if you get bloating and gas, okay, it's good to take, well, it's a guess, okay? All of these are not necessarily going to harm you unless you have a massive overgrowth in these and you're supplementing something you definitely don't need, then maybe don't do it. In general, if you get bloating and gas and you have a massive meal, taking normal digestive enzymes really helps break down all the macros. So carbs, fats, protein, before, during, or after your meals, okay? This is something I give to pretty much most of my clients. It usually just helps, okay? If you get that heavy rock feeling in your stomach, I'm sure you guys know what I mean. It could be that your body is struggling to break down protein, okay? So you can take stomach acid, some kind of stomach acid supplement, okay? Now, bile support, to support your bile, which is something that is created in your body to actually break down fats, mostly fats, then you can take a kind of bile support supplement, okay? And a key symptom, I've never really had this, but if you get greasy or oily stools, then that could be a good sign to take it, okay? Now, after that, we're gonna go to step 4, which is rebuilding food tolerance, okay? We don't wanna just eat the same 3 ingredients for the rest of our lives, okay? We wanna build up as much variety as we can. So, again, don't cut foods forever, reintroduce them properly. And there's a way of doing this, and most people are so impatient, including me, right? I just kind of skipped it and went straight to testing, but yeah, this is quite useful. So what we've done so far, we've removed things that are likely to cause triggers in the short term. We kept the diet calm and repeatable for about, let's just say 4 weeks, okay? If the symptoms are pretty bad. If they're not as bad, I'll just say 2 weeks. And what we want to do is reintroduce 1 ingredient at a time. We're going to test that one food for 2 to 3 days. We're going to track the symptoms, and then if it gave us some bad symptoms, it's out. If it gave us no bad symptoms when we feel good, keep it in. So as you can imagine, over the next month, 2 months, we're going to add a bunch of ingredients that we know is tolerated by our gut, and our body can break it down and absorb it. It's not causing issues, okay? But yeah, at the start, you might only have, 4 or 5 ingredients, and then after about 2 months, you're gonna have like 20, okay? And the thing is, you only really have to do this once, and then you're sweet. Now, for IBS-style bloating, doing a low FODMAP process can help, which, again, this is a process I basically just mentioned. But in general, these foods here in this category are more likely to cause issues, so it's better to stick to the ones here that are in the eat. these generally just cause less issues for people. So out of all things, it's probably safer to just start with these and then track your symptoms with the same process I just mentioned. Okay, so let's say you're only having, eggs, white potato, fruit, avocado. You have that, and then, after a few days, you add a banana, and you just have a banana for 2 to 3 days, and you track how you feel. Okay, you want to keep the variables consistent, and then add one input at a time. Because if you add 20 foods, you're not going to know what's causing what. Very basic. Okay. All right, now step 5 is to rebuild gut bacteria. Now we have like billions of little bacteria that are like actually alive, and this balance is something we need to have optimized. Okay, we can't have too much good, we can't have too much bad bacteria. Okay, we need to have the right balance, and not having the right balance will cause, gas, bloating, inflammation. And if you've taken, antibiotics in the past year and you haven't taken probiotics and had a really healthy rebuilding phase with your gut bacteria, you probably have issues. Okay, because antibiotics just nuclear bombs all of the good and bad bacteria. So if you've been in a state of having really bad symptoms and you've taken antibiotics, that probably fucked you up. So in this part here, we want to start adding fiber slowly. Now, you don't want to just jump onto a shit ton of fiber. If you've ever had a bunch of fiber instantly, you've probably felt really bad or like been really gassy. That's because your body has to build tolerance to the amount of fiber you're introducing. It has to grow certain like bacteria and certain things in your body that can actually be ready for the amount of fiber. If you have too much fiber quickly, your food is just gonna get absorbed. Your food isn't gonna get absorbed, it's just gonna go through your body. So what you wanna do is not add more than 5 grams of fiber per week. Now that sounds really specific and annoying to track. If you track your food just one day on MyFitnessPal, you'll see a total of 15 grams of fiber. And then you just know, okay, I'll have a bit more fiber foods. To make your life easier, just take a fiber supplement. And then okay, I'll keep eating the same and I'll have 1 scoop of this supplement. And then next week you have 2 scoops of that supplement. You know what I mean? So 5 grams per week, you can easily figure that out, or just have more cooked vegetables, okay? So yeah, with fiber, I know it sounds annoying, but you literally cannot, it's not good to just have a shit ton at once. You will really mess up your digestive health and get really tired and bloated, okay? Add fermented foods slowly if tolerated. So this is things like kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi. These introduce the right probiotics and help you balance it out. But you want to introduce them slowly. You cannot just go crazy on this, okay? Remember, this whole process is you have to be patient, and it works in phases. You can't just do everything at once, okay? Now with probiotics, you don't want to just take random ones. You can take a general one and you can feel better, but it's best to just take ones depending what you need to rebalance in your gut health. So that will be done through testing. But I would just say, if you're not increasing fiber too much like crazy, you're not having, too many fermented foods, then just have a probiotic, like a general probiotic every day, and then just see how you feel, okay? Now, this is just an example of adding fiber. So here's your baseline. Week 2, 5 more grams. Week 3, 5 more, okay? Do not just increase from 10 to 35 grams. You'll be bloated and feel like shit, okay? And yeah, you want to build up to 35 grams a day over time. So that is step 5. Now, if we go to step 6, we want to reinforce and maintain. So we want to build a gut system you can actually live with in the long term. Again, you cannot just fix your gut quickly in 7 days, okay? There's no way you actually do, no matter what you feel, especially if you've had issues and you actually genuinely get bloating and brain fog, etc. So what we want to focus on is building something that's sustainable, okay? So we want to figure out meals that you can be consistent with, set up daily reminders, okay? You want to do things outside of just your eating. So you know what foods you're having, you have them 3 to 4 times per day. You can sort of remember what foods give you issues, what foods don't, and you will just remember over time. The other things you need to do is just optimize your health overall. Now, your gut bacteria, your gut is affected by everything. Stress, the way you sleep, movement. Even if you were breastfed as a child, like how much you were breastfed, if you've been around pets, all of this affects the bacteria in your gut, okay? Everything that touches your skin, essentially. So this is just an overall system thing. The foods you have, the supplements you take is a big part of it. But the other big part of it is your stress, hydration, right? How you sleep, etc. So you kind of have to maintain it through just being healthy overall. Okay, good gut is a sign of overall good health, okay? Now, just to clarify again, probiotics, taking random probiotics will not fix everything. Fiber is good, but too much too quick will backfire. A low FODMAP is not meant to be forever. You don't restrict your foods forever. Okay, that's not a sign of good health. Stress can absolutely destroy your gut health, even if your food is perfect. If you're having the best of the best, organic pasture-raised eggs, raw honey, raw this, grass-fed, steak, whatever it is. If you're stressed, it will destroy your digestion and those nutrients will not get absorbed. It's just going to go through you. Testing helps, but testing without following a plan is useless. Guys, I've seen people pay for like advanced testing, they get a plan, and they don't do anything with it. So you need to obviously follow through and do what's in the plan, okay, to actually fix your gut health. And trust me, it is worth it. I grew up like bloating, having brain fog, low energy. I remember being like 10 years old and some kid pointed at my gut because we were like doing swimming practice or whatever. And he was like, bro, you're pregnant. And I was like, well, I'm not, but I didn't know what that was. Like my belly was just always bloated. And I think it's from like growing up with stress or who knows what the fuck it was. But a lot of how I felt growing up and my struggle to focus was from that. And yeah, it's unfortunate that, it can happen to you at a young age. Now, again, if this is you, and it probably is if you've watched all the way to this point, you get bloated after eating, brain fog after eating, you react randomly to different foods, you try to cut things out, random supplements, and you still don't know what's wrong. Your gut is not just randomly broken. You need to properly reset and restore your entire system, okay? So you need to do this properly. Now, this is some client wins. I've got plenty more on my Instagram, my YouTube, case studies, testimonials, whatever. But gut health is the thing that I help my clients with. I order the testing for them. I build the meal plans. I make sure they follow it. And it's a key thing that we optimize. We're not just getting in shape. We're not just fixing their sleep. We're not just helping them perform better. We're fixing their gut health. That's the root cause fix that allows you to feel better, to look better, to gain muscle easier, okay? Just like Connor. Connor came to me. I knew his gut health was completely cooked because he was not eating well at all. He was eating so much processed foods. And yeah, it was a journey to fix it, but it's definitely 100% worth it. He's got so much more energy. Zach here, a young agency owner. He was eating already pretty clean, but once we did the testing environment, we found there was actually a lot of room for improvement. Whereas on the outside, you would look at him and not think he's actually that unhealthy. Okay, this is me. I wasn't training properly, to be honest, but I was training like 4 to 5 days per week. You can see how bloated I was. My skin wasn't that healthy. I was always stressed. Like that's the flattest my belly was, and you can see how hard I'm sucking it in. I was always bloated and skinny fat and just anxious, like terrible. Ryan here, he lost like 30 pounds in 10 weeks. And yeah, it's the best he's ever felt. His energy is through the roof. He's been following a healthy meal plan properly that doesn't inflame his gut and cause issues. I've got hundreds of screenshots on my IG. And essentially, if you want me to do this whole process for you, then you can DM me the word health on Instagram or just book a call in the description below. Just remember that this is not about taking random supplements, cutting out foods forever, copying someone's specific protocol and just guessing. It's about actually fixing the system the right way. This system is undeniable. This is what works, okay? There is a process to doing it. Okay, you test, you identify, you remove the things that are causing issues, you repair digestion, you rebuild your food tolerance, and you rebalance your gut bacteria, right? And then you reinforce and maintain it to make it sustainable, okay? So yeah, hope you found it useful. If you want my help doing all this for you, click the link in the bio. Speak to you later, bye.